Myles Simmons is in Pro Football Talk here on a Tuesday. We're going to talk a lot of Cowboys because they're the Cowboys and people care and they still have a big fan base. I guess we can make sense of what happened yesterday with Jerry Jones taking shots at his two of his three-star players. And, hey, I paid a lot of money, but, they're not out there playing. Like, why is that even necessary? I saw a great line. I forget which media member said it. And the media member said, if you could offer Jerry Jones – 3 straight years of making a Super Bowl, winning a couple of them, but he can't do press conferences anymore. He'd be like, hard pass. No, I got to do press conferences. Okay, Jer.
Yeah, he probably would. I mean, that's what's going to be so interesting, and I don't need to, do ads for Netflix, but about this Netflix documentary, how much is it going to focus on him, and what exactly is he going to say in this thing? Because he really is liable to say anything and everything. And look, I don't think that it is a good business practice, I'll put it that way, to continue to kind of bleep around with contracts that are for your star players. Why did you do this with CeeDee Lamb last year, where he doesn't get off to the best start because he wasn't in training camp? And football training camp is important, all right? It really is important to get into football shape, to just be there. I don't have any problem with, dudes not playing in preseason games. That is what it is. But just the simple act of going out every single day and practicing, it makes a difference. And now you're doing the same stuff with Micah Parsons here. Micah Parsons is a dude that you knew you were going to pay a lot of money to, basically from week 4 of his rookie year, right? So the way to deal with that, and this is what the good organizations do. You look at the Eagles, they do it all the freaking time. After year 3, you pay this person, and you don't bleep around with it, because the only thing that's going to happen is the price of the brick is going to continue to go up and up and up and up and up. And what have we seen this offseason for star edge rushers in this league? Max Crosby gets a new deal in March. Myles Garrett also gets a new deal, right? $40 million a year AAV for an edge rusher. TJ Watt now, last week, gets a new deal. It's 41 point whatever million AAV. And so now Micah Parsons is set to make $42 million a year when in theory you could have been paying him 35, maybe 32. I don't know, but it never would have gotten to this point if you just taken care of your business last offseason as you should have. So that's the thing that is just so baffling to me with Jerry Jones. And I get that Dak Prescott's been hurt a little bit in the last few years, and I guess a little bit is kind of an understatement with that. Fine. But he's still a quarterback, and it's still a player that you pay. And it's another guy where, you messed around with the contract, and then, oh, by the way, you got to shell out a whole bunch of money. It's a team construction thing. And that's where I get frustrated, where you see teams that they make sense, right, in their team construction. They go after offensive linemen. If something is a hole, you can see it. Everybody can see it. They're like, yeah, let's plug that. And then you have other teams like the Cowboys, like the Bengals, where they just aren't doing the team construction right. And what they're doing doesn't make sense. So, that's just where I get frustrated, because it's not easy to put together a football team, but you can at least do it in such a manner that makes sense.
Alex, are there markets to go head-to-head wins between two teams? If I wanted to bet the Giants to win more games than the Cowboys, can you bet that?
Not that I've seen.
Obviously I'd get a nice plus because one team's at 8, 7.5, and the Giants are at 5.5. Myles, tell me I'm crazy. I don't think the Giants will be terrible. I think they're max motivated, at least on the sidelines. In my mind, Brian Daboll is a much better head coach than Brian Schottenheimer. And the quarterback mix, you know what? They have so many guys there. If someone plays poorly and it doesn't work, then you move on to the next guy. Eventually, Jackson Dart's going to play. But I like the fact that Daboll's I got to fight for my freaking job here. And they may fire him anyway, even if he wins 7 games. But he's got to put something on the resume, because I think he's an NFL head coach. If the Giants screw this up, he should get a job somewhere else. All right, Giants head-to-head against Cowboys for season wins.
I can definitely see the Giants winning more games. And, look, if you're talking head coach, who do I trust more? Yes, it's Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll's been hamstrung with the fact that he has Daniel freaking Jones as his quarterback over the last couple of years. And Daniel Jones now is about to be the starting quarterback of the Colts over Anthony Richardson. So what does that tell you about another GM and what he did selecting Anthony Richardson to number 4 overall? But that's not necessarily what you asked me about, okay? But I think the Cowboys, if you believe Brian Schottenheimer, you said recently to Mike Silver that of The Athletic that, he was Sean McVay before Sean McVay. And that's interesting. But, I think that if he were Sean McVay, and I read this story today, oh, he had an opportunity to go to the Dolphins, and then he had an opportunity to go to the Bills. Well, Sean McVay took the team that hadn't been a winner and took the job, right? And then he goes and he wins. And Sean McVay also wasn't just, like ground and pound and all that stuff with Mark Sanchez. But regardless, yeah, I think you're right, Steve. Like, they have some pieces there when you're talking about the New York Football Giants, whether it's on defense or, with guys like Thibodeau, guys like Brian Burns on offense now, with Malik Neighbors and somebody who can throw a deep ball, right? And in Russell Wilson, Jabu wins, Jameis Winston, he's another guy that can throw it deep. I mean, it's 50-50 whether or not it's going to be intercepted or not, but he can at least get you the ball. Look, Jerry Jeudy went over 1,000 yards for the first time because Jameis Winston started throwing him the football. And Jackson Dart will see what happens. I think in Brian Daboll's mind, in a perfect world, they are, a 10-ish win team, and maybe they sneak into the playoffs in the back door, and you can sit Jackson Dart, the entire season, and then they go to him next year. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I think that if things fall perfectly for the New York Giants, then yeah, that's something that could be on the table. But they're, to me, anywhere from a 6 to 10 win team, and I don't necessarily know which way it's going to go, but I believe in Brian Daboll, at least as an offensive guy and as a play caller. I do.